It's very unique technology. It's not regular curcumin. We had to work with Health Canada for 2.5 years to develop new monographs, new approval processes for something that they weren't familiar with. And we've come such a long way. We've shown now with Health Canada that's now approved as an over-the-counter. We've gone to a 50% for the medical community because it has a more potent effect on MSK1 for diseases that might have other features that are very difficult to deal with. We can't talk too much about disease specificity, but what we've been able to achieve with Health Canada is that we have a powerful anti-inflammatory agent we can claim is an anti-inflammatory agent. And now we've shown Health Canada that variants of this technology that are way more potent than even the over-the-counter are effective, well, let me just say this, that are great candidates, as Health Canada has put it after reviewing all our research at Biologic, great candidate drug for the treatment of COVID. And we've seen it in our community already, where with COVID, a lot of the adverse events and the dangerous situations that occur with people who are infected occur because there's a predisposition for inflammation. There's an underlying subclinical inflammation because they might have other diseases such as autoimmune conditions, diabetes, things that raise the subclinical inflammatory activity. We've shown in the research that we can mitigate the inflammatory activity to bring it down to baseline activity so that once infected, and I say potentially, we could treat COVID and treat people who are in distress and at risk for morbidity and mortality with COVID. Now, when I talk about COVID, it's an exciting time because, well, first of all, people think, COVID's already past us. And the reality is that we have mutations of the virus itself, and these variants will come and continue to come and ravage society periodically. So we have something now that is going into a clinical trial for the treatment of people in distress based on, this is interesting though, based on the original research that shows it's a powerful anti-inflammatory and has been approved as an anti-inflammatory already. So we're very excited about that because this is not just about being authorized to go into a clinical trial, but it's about validation for the work we've been doing that has altered this curcumin from the originally accepted state to one that's at a higher level of functionality and is a hybrid of what we do pharmaceutically in the drug industry and holistically in the natural health space, which I've been in for 30 years. And I think it's about time that we bring a new level of credibility for the technologies in general in the natural health space that work. And the fact is, they work, but we just need a more sophisticated way to standardize them so that they're reliable and they work every time you take them, as opposed to a chance that the proportions of the inner underpinnings of these botanicals may work. We've now done this with ashwagandha, and ashwagandha is a different animal in itself, different plant in itself.
I love taking your ashwagandha.
Yeah, it's a great product.
I love it. Yes.
And ashwagandha, as opposed to curcumin having 3 curcuminoids, has 35 withanolides. So we've been navigating through that for the last 3 years, identifying each one, mapping the pharmacology of each one, and what we've found is phenomenal in terms of neutralizing reactive oxygen species, enhancing NRF2, which is a transcription factor in the cell that is responsible for manufacturing or transcribing glutathione peroxidase, superoxide dismutase, catalase. These are antioxidants inside the cell, not antioxidants we would take like vitamin C. That's I call an outside-in.
Exogenous versus endogenous.
Endogenous. So imagine that. As you age, the endogenous antioxidant load in your cell begins to decline, and you need it to neutralize the exhaust, such as the free radicals that occur when you're metabolizing nutrients and creating ATP.
I thought when I left LA, I became a free radical myself.
Yeah, well, I'm a free radical in my space too.
That's
So a quick question here, because a lot of our users, a lot of our base is in the United States, the majority of it, and the rest of the world seems to focus on there. So what is the relationship of Health Canada compared to the FDA?
Well, it's said globally that to pass the stringent regulations in the Canadian program for Health Canada is a real coup because
Generally, they're stronger.
it's harder, much harder to pass. So to give you an example,
Because that's the first thing people ask: is it FDA approved? And
but FDA never approves anything.
Yeah, of course it.
If you notice, it says here, the FDA hasn't approved this and it's not used for diagnosis or mitigation of disease and blah, 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 blah. Now, here's how it works. You can sell something in the US, and the FDA will allow it if they haven't banned it. If they haven't banned it.
Yeah.
It's a different system. So this is what they call a negative system.
Exclusion versus inclusion in Canada.
In Canada, you're not allowed to sell anything
Unless
unless they've approved it,
approved it.
Yeah.
all right? So that's the difference.
That's it.
So